Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality with the best hair. Action movies are perhaps the most laden with tropes, outside of romantic comedies, and rely simply on being the new explosion or fight scene to keep audiences entertained. However, the introduction of science fiction does open up one's options considerably. After all, science fiction's lifeblood is showing viewers something they've never seen before, or using an old staple in a new, interesting way. The same old showdown is infinitely more interesting if it happens to be on an asteroid between an alien emperor and a genetically enhanced super soldier. But that's not to say that just adding science fiction to the mix is a foolproof way of making a story good. I mean, look at Final Encounter. Also known as For the Cause and Warhammer, Final Encounter is the story of a small group of specially selected soldiers on a mission that could end a century-long war between two factions located on a random non-Earth planet. It attempts to spice up a very basic war and espionage plot with technology advanced to the point it's indistinguishable from magic. Unfortunately, when watching this movie, there are a few problems that the eye candy couldn't quite obscure. Oh well, let's take a look at Final Encounter and see if it's a good cause, or if we're better off just playing Warhammer. Starting our tale in Brecca, which looked suspiciously like a city in Morrowind, we are shown the soldiers lovingly providing the citizens with rations at gunpoint. Which doesn't surprise me at all, as those have to be some damn good rations. I mean, look at how much energy everyone has! Here we're introduced to the obviously important one of the bunch, as she forgoes the generic peasant clothes for a bright red full-body suit, running opposite the mob with her all-important box. That would be Diana, played by Violeta Markovska, in her first role as an actress. Actually, she doesn't do too bad of a job with it. In fact, she's one of the better actors in this film. Using her Xbox 9000, she easily manages to bypass the security at Brecca's military base, but a kid so easily gaining entry isn't too surprising, as it seems these soldiers are so inept they don't notice a noisy, fidgeting kid running around in a bright red bodysuit, so long as they're barely out of frame.
Where were you? I've been waiting here for an hour.
Then again, when she finds the one person she snuck in to see, she doesn't seem to care that she has an entourage with her. And neither do they. You'd think that security would be a little tighter during a century-long war. This introduces us to Jody Wise as Abel, whom evidently is a mentor of sorts to Diana, providing her with training simulations and grading her capabilities as she is poised to join the war effort eventually. In fact, the training is official and well-known, which makes the whole hacking the door and sneaking in part pointless.
Don't get caught on the way out.
Okay, if she would be punished for contacting her supervisor for training, would she or would she not be punished for just saying fuck it and staying home? We change locations to introduce a few new characters, and by a few I mean a squad of miscellaneous fodder, along with one whom is obviously establishing traits we'll be seeing for the next 90 minutes of this film.
You're dead. When these bolts get old and worn, they can slip in backwards. And boom, one press of that trigger, you'd have your first and last confirmed kill.
Just one question, Sergeant. Will I still get XP for this kill? A rather young sergeant here is Justin Whalen, as Sutherland, whom is second in command of this band of armed middle school children, set to take out a rogue group of Brecca defectors and retrieve a strange artifact.
Screw it. If this doesn't work, I'm pulling us back. I can't risk it.
Sir, the general's counting on each of us to come home with honor.
Did you get that slogan off a poster?
No, sir! Back of a cereal box! Brecca Breakfast Crunch! He gives Sutherland a long-winded speech about doing the right thing, even if it's not what the general asks of you, which is a very odd thing for a superior to say.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
No, sir. But I'll agree with you if it'll help, sir.
Man's got the cognitive fortitude of an amoeba. But it's time for the kiddies to gather round for a special message from Unky General Murrin, played by Dean Cain, as he projects himself in a ridiculously huge hologram, not worried whatsoever about the enemy spotting them, simply to reiterate what we've already learned from the others in a much more flashy fashion.
The objective that you seek today is the most important that you have ever fought for.
Please, it's capture the flag. They don't need a long, drawn-out tutorial. Then again, this CTF is one of those newfangled asymmetrical multiplayer experiences, as Abel fires up her Xbox 9001, along with her two cohorts, to provide us with the mystical technological side of the battle.
Whoever made this was was a real artist. Or one sick fuck.
The three of them are what this film refers to as witches, a combination of hacker and special effects combatant, which makes them witches about as accurately as the trio in Charmed were. On the field, the troops attack and... what the... forest camo face paint? You do realize you're gonna stick out like a sore thumb with that white uniform, right? Contact! Sound the alarm! And you brilliantly attack from the front, in an open field, in broad daylight. Great strategy! Strangely enough, they come under fire somehow, but their cluster bomb launcher does manage to wipe out nearly the whole encampment, which makes me think they should have done that before rushing in, but nevertheless, they are still inept enough to let a few stragglers take out several of their squad members before the witches manage to lose one of their own on top of it. And one of the new features in the Xbox 9001 is the force feedback can actually kill you! Wait, that's not good. Emerging from the bunker with the artifact in hand, Sutherland figures out that the rest of his unit isn't looking so hot. But hey, never mind that, he got a medal!
Oh. You got a medal. You know, a man gives you a medal, he just wants you to fight. But a man gives you a spare ammo, he wants you to live.
Or he's tired of carrying it and he figures he'll just loot it back off you after you get shot. The big surprise, however, comes when Sutherland is called to the general along with Abel.
You two are Brekka's finest team.
Of course they're Brekka's finest. All the other soldiers have no names and died in the first 10 minutes.
And that is why I've chosen you to be my personal escorts.
Escorts where to, sir?
To Obsidian City itself.
It turns out the artifact, called Warhammer, is an old-world weapon designed to destroy Obsidian electrical systems, and therefore they are to smuggle it in, activate it, and negotiate Obsidian's surrender after rendering them completely vulnerable.
You'll each be accompanied by one partner. For you, it will be Sergeant Stoner.
It's the bomb, man. It's evil.
Abel, on the other hand, gets Leighton, the only other witch we even know about in this movie. Abel expresses her concerns over Deanna being put in active duty at such a young age, but the general calms her.
I'll see to it that she's looked after by my best people and kept out until you return.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, wait a minute. I thought they were the best people. I suppose that is consistent, as we get another scene of Abel hammering into Deanna she's not to go into combat for another year.
I want you to promise me that you will stay out of it until I come back.
So everyone, remember, it's really, really bad if she would go into active duty. Really. Would hate to see that happen. They head out towards their first objective, rendezvousing with a Brecken soldier we've never heard about to add a sixth member to their roster. There is a bit of a problem, though.
I'm going to ask you one last time. Will you renounce your loyalty to Brekka?
The country or the cereal? Because if it's the cereal, shit, you can have it.
No.
Oh, well. Abel manages to scare the big crowd off by summoning a couple of CGI hands that kill the fuck out of the armed men. Thus we are introduced to Thomas Griffith, playing the role of Evans, whom it seems was set up for a very ironic execution.
How old is that?
The lasting peace between Obsidian and Brekka.
That's old.
This is the first time in the movie we hear about any former peace treaty between the two factions. It's also never brought up again. Yay! Back in Brekka, however, it looks like another agreement is being broken, as creepy witch manager convinces Deanna that going into active duty is perfectly fine.
But she would want you to practice, and this way I can help you. We can show her how much better you've gotten by the time she gets back. And we might even be able to help her with her mission. Now, I know she would like that. What do you say?
I guess it's okay.
Likewise, this is also the only time in the movie that this is brought up. It's really worth all that build-up. But we do get at least a little bit of character building that has some impact on things to come, as Sutherland gets in a conversation with Evans about being a soldier, Sutherland being very proud, and Evans being more world-weary and cynical.
You know, they used to make them out of solid gold back when they had it to spare. Now they're only gold-plated.
Bullshit.
You decide to check, and you will. Scrape the back of the metal where no one can see it. That's what I did.
This scene is your basic introduction of the Seeds of Doubt, but what I really like about it personally is that it's a movie scene in a snowy night that takes place on an honest-to-God snowy night. I mean, the snow might be coming from a snow machine, but it is actually cold enough where we see the actor's breath. I mean, compare this to a higher-budget movie set in, Antarctica.
Careful, they bite.
Yeah, I respect actors for actually braving the cold. The following day, they close in on a heavily guarded base, and then bother to tell us why they're stopping here.
Warhammer. This is only part of the weapon. Claymore has the last piece. Inside their main vault.
But first we need to get past the magic barrier. For that we need the goblet held by the Ogre King, but he won't just give it up. Fortunately, he's weak to fairy ivy, and that only grows on the top of Mount Dragonfart, but for that we'll need a guide. The general decides the best idea is to leave the top witch and man with experience in this specific base behind, sending in Sutherland, Stoner, and Layton to feel around in the dark and hopefully get the mission done somehow. But I can't help but feeling this mission would go a lot smoother if they weren't cutting through the Klingon temple set. Sutherland digs a transmitter out of an officer's skull, which he has to carry in his mouth, because evidently in this movie, hands don't count as living tissue. Passing it on to Stoner, they soon get the vault open, but Layton sees a problem.
Stoner, your exit's swarming with guards. You can't use it.
Can't use it. I don't have a lot of latitude here.
You'll have to try to get to Sutherland.
You would think that she'd be in a fine range to take them out herself, what with the special effects Abel was showing off earlier, but nah, let them deal with it. Sutherland takes out part of the wall to provide Stoner with an exit, but... Let go! No! Yeah! That is the worst case of osteoporosis I've ever seen! As shit is failing at record speeds, Stoner puts all his strength into one last leap, ensuring the last piece of Warhammer makes its way to Sutherland.
I got it! Let's go! Stoner?
Yeah, bullets killed him. Who'd have thought? Running to escape, he finds himself quite fucked, but Evans rushes in to save the day, allowing them to roll down the happy snowy slope of joy and friendship. Aww.
Arm's definitely broken.
Oh, that was a precarious drop of unimaginable pain. For one of them. Abel loads up her console and surprises them when she manages to straighten and refuse his bone in a matter of seconds.
The arm. I've never seen anything like that before.
Nothing special. Witches fix as many things as they break.
This choice of words gets Evans thinking that maybe Stoner's mysterious toothpick ankle wasn't an accident after all.
Programmers can break bones as well as fix them. And they don't have those decks in Clayvor.
What are you saying, that Abel broke his leg?
She was with Mirren the whole time.
It is quite a stretch. I mean, she would have crippled him before he could pass off Warhammer, but after warning him about the incoming troops. I mean, why not just let him pass it and let the troops shoot him by surprise? It'd be a lot easier and keep her off the radar. Sutherland says he'll keep an eye on Layton, and after losing several more uneventful weeks to a text transition, the group reaches Obsidian's impenetrable wall of glass.
Son of a bitch, it's huge. Obsidian's unbeatable barrier. We destroy a section of it, it just keeps growing back.
The fuck? How the hell does it do that?
Can it be crossed?
Or you could just ignore that little detail. How the hell does it grow back? Evans also happens to be the only Brecken whom has ever survived crossing the wall of glass, which I guess means he crossed it twice if he's back on this side of it. And we learn that its impenetrable nature is due to the fact that it amplifies the sun's rays, becoming the largest easy-bake oven in the universe. Okay. But how the hell does it grow back? Anyway, they begin to make their way through the convenient tunnel in the glass wall, which doesn't grow back because they never say. Using the handy grappling hook, they cross Superman's Fortress of Solitude, but Evans decides that even though they need to hurry to reach the other end before the sun rises, turning them all into roast marine, now's as good a time as any to sit back and reminisce.
I'd just like a moment here alone. Pay my respects to those who didn't make it.
All right, fine, but make it quick.
Hey, what smells like bacon? No surprise, the sun starts coming up right before they manage to get out, so they have to hurry. But oh no! Evans hasn't caught up yet!
Well, then he's dead! Forget about it, come on!
No, I have to try! Gotta try!
Oh, the possible traitor turns out to be a red herring. Or the suspect really was a traitor. We find this out in 10 minutes.
The rest of them get out okay, but now Sutherland is figuring Evans might have been onto something about Layton, and confides in Abel about his suspicions.
I don't want to lose anyone else.
Then you're in the wrong business.
Of course, she doesn't believe him. It needs time to sink in.
Is she still with him?
Approximately 20 seconds, how long it took her to find Layton sabotaging her deck. The writers did know it's okay to leave certain questions open longer than a scene transition, right?
A few bullets from the general, and one more member is scratched off their squad. An examination of the damage shows her computer was being wired with the digital equivalent of a car bomb.
Burn her deck. Burn everything.
Burn the house down! Burn them all!
Abel decides to take the macro SD block anyway, before a short scuffle with Obsidian forces that has next to nothing to do with the events at large, followed by our now on-edge, highly aware group allowing themselves to become completely surrounded anyway.
No, put them down! Please, forgive them. They were just unsure.
Well, now they know.
They know the only reason we've made it this far is sheer dumb luck.
As it turns out, this is a faction of Obsidian's rogues who are allied with Brekka.
So, of course they were unsure about a group of people in Brekka uniforms that they had been in contact with for months.
Nevertheless, they go over the plan to go under Obsidian City, and Sutherland begins pissing off the general, as the plan happens to involve what looks like a suicide run, when the weapon should be well within range.
But our job was to deliver this weapon so
you will not tell me what our job is. You will not tell me what our mission is. You will not tell me how to conduct battle. You will not question my orders.
Sir, I think you've killed enough. I'll tell you when I've killed enough!
Frustrated, he heads over to Abel to sulk, but at this point, Abel has checked out the data from Layton's deck. It turns out to be a list of spoilers noting each member and when they would be killed.
We have to tell General Mirren.
Because, of course, he would have no idea any of this was happening!
Sutherland is setting this up. First Stoner, then Evans. The guy's been playing us the whole time. I took out his partner. I need you to take him out now.
Oh no! You mean General Mirren, who's been in control of every situation and set the whole thing up, is the one who's been controlling all these situations and setting everybody up? How is this possible?
They spot him, and the climax is underway as he flees from the Loyalist troops, and his communications with Abel are cut off. The general goes ahead and begins setting up Warhammer right then and there. When Abel makes it to him, he orders her to arm the weapon, but she isn't very trusting of him at this point.
Arm this weapon, soldier. That is an order.
No.
All she has to do is refuse and his plan goes nowhere. Of course, she's not that smart.
He threatens her with harming Deanna, who hasn't so much as breathed on this movie since the last time we saw her, and is in harm's way anyway, so empty threat if there ever was one. But in any case, she arms it to find out that it's set to annihilate everything in a 20-mile radius.
You're a hero.
Execution style, right in the abdomen. Wait a minute.
Sutherland shows up just in time to save her from the man with the worst aim on the planet, leading to a double showdown as he goes one-on-one with the general, and Abel faces off against the digital representation of Warhammer.
Fuck the gun, Sutherland! I will kill you with my hands!
That sounds like a poor translation in an old Japanese video game.
The fights are entertaining enough in their own right, with Abel's battle with Warhammer certainly a lot more interesting than Sutherland's use of the handy grapple to take out Mirren.
Though, on the plus side, it does remind me a bit of Just Cause 2.
Now that that's over, their encampment is being sieged by Obsidian soldiers, so Sutherland comes up with a backup plan.
A grenade next to a nuke? You do realize it's going to blow the fuck up and...
Have saved the city from destruction by the Loyalists.
Thus, Obsidian commends Sutherland and Abel, instead of just blowing their Brecken heads off, and Sutherland gives a rousing speech.
Peace! And an end to the war!
Hey, Sutherland! That's a nice thing to say and all, but you're just a Brecken soldier with no power. How is calling it even supposed to work?
I have no idea, but somehow this brings peace between the factions and an end to the century-long war over... what were they fighting over again? Anyway, during this wonderful time of peace, evidently Brekka City was completely blown the fuck up, but don't worry, Deanna is safe and sound, ready to be taken care of by Abel as our story comes to a close.
With the fact that Deanna had to fend for herself for God knows how long in that city, in retrospect, I'd say it's a damn good thing that she got what experience she did in active duty. Well, that was Final Encounter, or For the Cause, or Warhammer. Yeah, it's popcorn entertainment.
That in and of itself isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it doesn't help that a movie set on a distant planet with fantastic locations and technology that can summon constructs from thin air is so fantastically unremarkable. The premise is, well, end the war. It's never specified what the war is for, there just happens to be a war, and when it's not needed to know exactly why two factions are going at it, if you plan to stop the fighting, it is kind of an important detail. Similarly, most other aspects of this movie are also simply there to be taken at face value. We've got rogues on both sides, but no distinct agenda for 2 of the 3 rogue camps, and the peace monument is a one-off prop. Characters have their basic traits and fulfill their purpose of the story, but you need to do more than that. I feel like this movie was trying desperately to be an average flick and still came up short. The combat ranges from entertaining to passable, the acting and dialogue from okay to cheesy, and the sets, well, they suck. But the bare-bones plot and motivation is inexcusable. No amount added to the budget could have fixed that. When the clip is empty, you may walk away from this movie entertained, but it really feels like something that's not too bad to catch on basic cable if nothing else is on. Not a movie you'd want to make too much of an effort to pursue, falling in at 2 fake medals out of 5.
Though I still feel I must commend the actors for enduring the cold on the sets while filming. Though this was filmed in Bulgaria, so it might be that it was just cold and not necessarily written that way. Oh well. Thank you all for watching. I've been Decker Shado, and remember, how the hell does it grow back?
Fuck the gun, Sutherland! I will kill you with my hands!